morning. Thanks for being here, Doctor.
Happy to be here.
Nice to have you here. Okay, so we had a debate without Donald Trump, but yet Donald Trump was mentioned numerous times. How do you explain this?
Well, Trump, of course, wasn't at the debate, but he's leading the headlines and all the news coverage coming out of the debate. Clearly, he continues to be a major presence. So I think those who thought that his decision not to go to the debate would backfire on him seem to have been mistaken. I don't think it seems to have hurt him at all.
I mean, they bring him up in what we just showed. They're kind of taking pot shots at him. So his presence not being there but still being mentioned multiple times, who does that benefit?
Well, I think it benefits Trump. You know, the other candidates really hoped that a debate in which he was absent would give them a chance to break away from the pack, to shine on their own. There's no real evidence that happened, as evidenced by the fact that we're still talking about Donald Trump. And in fact, the main thing that Trump's absence seems to have done has been to set up Ted Cruz for more criticism than he received in past debates.
So you felt like there was no one who stood out during this debate?
Well, there were nice moments for many of the candidates. You know, there were some sharp discussions on immigration, which were illuminating. Now, this didn't always help candidates. I think Marco Rubio actually came out somewhat of the worse in discussions that he was having on immigration, as Jeb Bush pointed out some of his inconsistencies on the issue. But Bush, I think, looked a little better than he has in past debates, in part because he was being a little more aggressive. So it was, you know, an uneven mix of outcomes for these candidates.
Did any of the candidates do worse because he wasn't there, or just because they didn't answer questions good?
Well, I don't think Trump's absence made them do worse than they would have in the past, but it did open them up to more attention and scrutiny than they might have received before. Now, I think that's clearly the case for Ted Cruz. Really hard questions that Fox News might have asked to Donald Trump in the past were instead asked to Ted Cruz, and he didn't look so good under that pressure. Some of his answers came across as a little nervous and sometimes defensive.
We also know the viewership was lower than what most of these debates have seen. Again, is that because there's been so many debates, or no Trump?
Well, my guess is it's the Trump factor. This is the last debate leading into the Iowa caucuses. This is a moment where we might be expecting more viewers to be turning in, and instead viewership was down. That might be because the fireworks that have been present in other debates weren't there. Will
this impact the results of the Iowa caucus?
Well, it's, you know, it's hard to say at this point, of course. I mean, what we know from the polling is that Donald Trump is hovering right around 30% of Republican primary voters in Iowa. Ted Cruz has been a little bit below that. I really doubt that Trump's absence will hurt him among his core supporters. They've been a very loyal bunch. I think the question we have to ask is whether Trump can gain any ground. Can he pick up any new voters with these tactics? And that remains to be seen.
You know, there was an undercard as well. I'm not sure I've heard anyone talking about that. Is that the group you think that will be the first to go?
I think so. I think after Iowa we'll see a winnowing process. We need to. There are a lot of Republican candidates right now. It is very hard for any single Republican candidate, really other than Donald Trump, to consolidate any support or get any time in the spotlight. So I think we'll see candidates who didn't do well in Iowa dropping out in the weeks to come.
As we find out who the nominee will be, how much will that impact the U.S. Senate race here in Colorado?
Well, I think it will have a substantial impact. Now, of course, the biggest impact it will be had by Barack Obama. His popularity ratings, his, you know, the way people perceive the economy to doing will be the single most important factor weighing on the Colorado Senate race. But the identity of the Republican candidate will matter as well.
Well,
right. Political scientists have to be loving this election year no matter what. It's
well, it's breaking all our theories. No one expected Trump to do this well, and you know, political scientists would have told you that the Republican establishment usually has the most impact in choosing who the nominee will be, and that hasn't happened this year.
Well, and people are certainly talking about it, so it helps as well that the voters are out there interested.
That's right, absolutely.
Well, once we get through the Iowa caucus, we'll start to see some things unfold.
That's right.
Thanks for joining us, Dr. Hanson.
Happy to be here.
We'll be right back after this.